Is Semi rocking up to training in a bulletproof Range Rover, or is he full humble?
He's not quite got a bulletproof Range Rover. He's at the moment he's driving like I think he's into his quite like American-y car. It's like a sort of like a Ford Mustang-y kind of car. It's pretty cool, a bit different, but in fairness, it's very cool. And yeah, I quite like it myself, to be honest.
Man of the moment and all that. Let's just get into it. Let's just talk a little bit about this season. Obviously, it's a weird season for everyone, as we know, but as a club, the foundation seems to have been built, new training ground, superstar players. Pat's built a really good squad, but being top of the league in a league with its quality of teams that are in there, how good does that feel?
Yeah, it feels really good. Yeah, like you said, obviously, you know, the competition within the leagues huge at the moment. You know, I suppose like, you know, just look at Newcastle coming up this year, I suppose, and you know, straight up into the top four after the first sort of what is it, 6 games now. So you know, there's a massive competition going on in the Premier League, which is big. And you know, I think you know for us as a team, it comes back to sort of how we're building as a team, and I think we can just look at the game from the weekend against Exeter in a way to show our growth over the past few seasons and how we're really developing as a real competitive side and a real top 4 team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So aside from the stuff on the pitch, and we can maybe chat a little bit about Pat as a coach after, but the training facility looks absolutely ridiculous. It looks so good. What's it like turning up to work in that? And it's just amazing for me, like having played against Bristol for years and an old school club, and I'm looking at it now, it's almost like an NFL setup. What's it like training in that kind of facility?
Yeah, I mean, from the outside looking in, it does look a little bit like one of these big NFL setups. So, yeah, we're very fortunate to have that, and obviously, massive thanks to our owners and sort of stuff like that for putting that in place. So, yeah, it's a joy to go to every day. You know, it makes the drive to and from work a little bit nicer, knowing that you're going into a facility like that. And you know, I think it's about, you know, we can have this facility, this all, you know, sort of big facility, but it's about how you use it. I think we've got to be able to use it to our benefit. You know, we've got a little indoor barn which massively helps us during the cold sort of winter months, which is nice to keep reasonably warm rather than being outside. But yeah, and you know, we've got everything we need there, and I think that's the biggest thing. You know, we don't have to look outside our door to get what we want. You know, we've got everything there to prepare well, to develop our game and push on to the next level to where we want to be.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks that way. And you mentioned you've got everything you need. You've got one of the most sought after coaches in Pat Lamb. Yeah. Like, how does he deal with you in that position? Like, you know, how does he keep you grounded, and what kind of things does he say to kind of keep you motivated, understanding that there is, you know, a kind of bigger play for you both as a club but internationally as well, potentially?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, first coming into the club, there was always sort of like a vision at the club that, you know, our 3 big visions is like sort of Champions Cup. We wanted homegrown players and sort of England internationals at the club. So, you know, I think that's sort of massive for him, and that's his sort of, that's the goals that he's really trying to strive and bring into the club. So, you know, in terms of like, he's so good on an individual basis. You know, he knows everyone's strengths and weaknesses and work-ons, if you so to speak. And you know, he's really, really good at sort of at giving you praise, but at the same time, like you said, keeping you grounded and telling you what things you need to get better at and where you can improve on your game. And I think that's the massive thing. He you know, is sort of self-awareness and how he knows to deal with each player as they come through is really good. And for me, it's been absolutely massive. You know, I feel like I've really developed my game over the past 2 or 3 seasons at Bristol, and you know, he's been at the forefront of that, helping me on both on and off the field.
It definitely looks like that, mate. And then also, it kind of brings me on to the part about talking about some of the quality of players that you've got. And again, it's the headlines that people in the media are constantly looking for, but it's actually watching how well they play. And I'm talking about Semi Ranranja, the Piatow brothers, Stephen Luatua, week in, week out, Nathan Hughes. Like, these lads are rocking up every single week, and they're not just big names. Like, they're adding so much value, not just to your team, but to the league and to the game of rugby in the Northern Hemisphere. What's it like playing with someone like Semi and being that kind of bridge between the forwards and the backs? You know, you've got the best player in the league on your team. What's it like?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose when he first came, it was a little bit surreal in some sort of sense. But, you know, in fairness, you know, the likes of Semi and Charles, I think the best thing about them is they're just real nice guys off the field, and, you know, they're easy to talk to. You know, they're always, even though they're the best players in the world, they're always willing to learn, and I think that's massive within a team like Bristol, because we've always got sort of new things. We're always adapting to different styles of play, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I think, you know, it helps them that we've got a game plan within the team, and I think everyone buys into that. And I think, you know, their capabilities within that game plan is difficult to stop at sometimes. So, you know, it's nice having sort of those players outside you and sort of in front of you, to know that, you know, rugby's not always perfect within a game. So, you know you've got those players to sort of go to when you need them, and you know, they're the type of players that step up in big moments, and I suppose that's why they are the best players in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's it? I mean, I'm going to talk about this, whether or not you're happy to kind of tell me what cars they drive, but some of the guys who are earning big money will rock up in these 70 grand bulletproof Range Rovers. You know, Francois Hogarth, the scrum-half, I saw him driving a white Lamborghini around Cheltenham when I was playing there. Is Semi rocking up to training in a bulletproof Range Rover, or is he full humble?
He's not quite got a bulletproof Range Rover. He's driving like I think he's into his quite like American-y car. It's like a sort of like a Ford Mustang-y kind of car. It's pretty cool, a bit different, but in fairness, it's very cool. And yeah, I quite like it myself, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And then you personally, I don't know how much of the media that you look into or listen to, or your parents or your mates are talking about it, but I think naturally when you're top of the league, you're playing in a team like Bristol, you're on the front foot, you're playing the way that you're playing personally, people are going to talk about international stuff, right? It's a natural kind of transition for both the countries that you're eligible to play for. You look at the profile of their scrum halves. How is that for someone like you? Do you feel the pressure? Do you feel the need to be able to answer to people about, yeah, this is what I want to do? Or are you a player that is, right, I just want to concentrate on Bristol, and what will be, will be?
Yeah, I think I've always had the mindset of sort of concentrate on the here and now sort of thing. So for me, like my big focus is concentrate on playing well for Bristol, continue working hard, sort of developing my game to the best of my ability, and obviously touch wood, sort of you know, my ambition is to play international rugby. So touch wood, on the back of that, sort of a call up will come. But yeah, for now, I think obviously, you know, it's nice to have that sort of that media's kind of chat. You know, it's nice to see and nice things said about me. And you know, I suppose there's a little bit of pressure that comes with it when you get spoken about. But you know, at the same time, I think, you know, great things can come from pressure. And I think, you know, it's like any sportsman. I think, you know, the reason you play the game is for big moments, and you get these pressure, and it's about how you deal with that pressure and how you can succeed under pressure. And I think that's probably the biggest thing coming out of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. Another thing that's spoken about as well, and it's spoken about a lot with me throughout my whole life, is around your size, right? Yeah. Now, I think I made a comment on a podcast that I do. I think it's almost like a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I imagine that pisses you off a little bit, because you are a small rugby player, but there are also other smaller rugby players that are playing in your position, Aaron Smith, Faf de Klerk. Is it frustrating when you're hearing the commentators speak about it, and it's almost, there's a little bit of not a snidey joke, it's a bit of banter if you like, but how is that for someone like you, trying to do your thing, trying to be taken seriously?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of look at it as I'm kind of used to it. Like by now, I mean, I think all my life I've been a small rugby player. I've never been a massive player. Never was going to be. And I think sort of the way I go about it is just trying to prove myself sort of on the pitch, and about how I go about my things. You know, I'd like to think on the field, you know, it doesn't make too much of a difference as long as I sort of am technically good on the field and doing my job on the field. Then I doesn't necessarily matter about your sort of size or shape. So, I've always sort of had that mindset towards it. Sometimes it's not nice to hear sort of like, oh, he's too small, that kind of chat, which I've had sort of all my career. So, it's not the nicest thing to hear, but at the same time, within myself, it builds my confidence within me, because I know, within myself, I know what I'm capable of, and if I keep working hard, it doesn't matter about sort of my size, that I'm capable of achieving good things.
No, absolutely. We just have to look at the way that you play, mate. It's not all about size, and I think that's the kind of big thing that I'm trying to get over. Do you base your game on any of these great scrum halves that have played that are smaller? Like Aaron Smith, I mentioned him, obviously Faf de Klerk World Cup winner as well. Like that, they're small nines compared to a Ben Youngs and compared to a Mike Phillips. Do you look at these players and try and base your game around that, or do you just go instinctively with what's in you, I suppose?
Yeah, no, I definitely look up to some of the best nines in the world. You likes of Faf and Aaron Smith, both quality scrum halves, obviously two of the best in the world. So, it's always good to look up and see what they're doing and how I can sort of implement some of the stuff that they do into my game itself to try and develop my game. So, I've always looked up, obviously Aaron Smith, looked up him for a while, still playing and still one of the best nines in the world. It shows how his sort of hard work, and like you said, he's definitely not the biggest nine in the world, and he's had a very, very successful career. So it's inspiration for myself that these small nines are out there and are the best in the world. So it is good to see, and I definitely look up to them.
Let's talk a little bit about Hartpury College, right?
Yes.
And it's quite phenomenal. And at RugbyPass, we were about to do a documentary on Hartpury for the reasons I'm about to talk about, because it's phenomenal, the names that are coming out of Hartpury. And I've just wrote a few down, but the headline ones: Ellis Genge, Johnny May, Ross Moriarty, who I'm friends with, Lewis Rees-Zammit, and there's a load more, and yourself. What is going on at Hartpury College, an equestrian college that is producing some of the best players in Europe?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it's just sort of the culture and the whole vibe that's at Hartpury is awesome. I think people get attracted to go there because of these big names that have come out, and I think that's what's sort of continued to produce these players that I suppose young players get inspiration. These players have been to Hartpury and can get along and get on board and do that. And I think the biggest thing is the way they run sort of like the rugby program alongside your education. It is awesome. I loved my 2 years at Hartpury. I thought it was one of the best times of my life. So, and I mean, it helps you living in sort of dorms with your mates and sleeping about, whatever you want to do. But I mean, so I think the biggest thing is you're enjoying it as well. And I think, like, obviously as a young, 17, 18-year-old kid, the biggest thing is playing your rugby is enjoying what you're doing and enjoying where you are at that time. And I think that sort of makes you relax. And the more you enjoy, your life, the more you're going to go in and enjoy your rugby. And it's just the brand of rugby they play there as well. It really develops your skills. And obviously they've got a good connection down there with Gloucester, who obviously a lot of boys sort of jump into their sort of academies and stuff as well. So it's a great place to be, and I loved all my time there.
Yeah, I remember when I was at Gloucester, some of the stories coming out of Hartpury with some of the lads, some horror stories as well. But
Absolutely.
It looked class. It was
maybe a few not suitable to say out in public, but
no, we can't. Yeah, we can't share online. Just one over a beer when we can have one again. But no,
yeah.
it looked
Absolutely.
it looked class. So a couple of other things. There's a lot of talk around celebrations at the minute. Naturally, we understand potentially the reasons why. Just give us a little bit of background as a player as why you're not allowed to celebrate, because it is a thing at the minute. Some people think it's ridiculous. James Haskell, who I'm mates with, said it was ridiculous. I can kind of understand why. What's been said to you as players around that?
Yeah, I think the main thing is, like, obviously it does come across as it is a bit extreme, but I think it's just precaution, really. This whole sort of COVID stuff and these proximity reports of how close you're being to other players, and we've seen it in the Premiership already. So I think someone had to isolate due to a face-to-face sort of celebration. You were within that 2 meter space, and it can happen that easily. And I think the last thing people want to be doing is sort of isolating due to a face-to-face celebration. So I mean, if it's something that we need to do, then we've all got to get behind it and really buy into it and not let it happen, because the last thing we want is more games to be cancelled because of isolation. We want this season to keep flowing, and fortunately enough, so far at Bristol, we've been pretty lucky. We haven't had to postpone any games, and we haven't had too many cases at all. So we're in a fortunate position. But like you said, it does seem a little bit extreme, but I can understand sort of the reasoning behind it and why they're doing it. So I suppose just down the players to get behind it and really support what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and then last question then, what does success look like for Bristol this year? You mentioned ambition is the Premiership. I know there's so many variables this year in terms of the makeup of the season, but if things were normal, and say they get back to normal, what is the realistic ambition of this club?
Well, I think we sit down at the start of every season and sort of go through what we want our season to look like, set ourselves out some goals, and I think we do it as a whole club, not just players, staff included. So it's good to be aligned as a club so that we're all on the same page and we know where we want to be. And our biggest goal sort of last season was to be playing, obviously be playing Champions Cup rugby, which we are this year, and sort of being in and around that top of the Premiership, and we weren't far off either. So again, this year we want to be pushing towards that top of the table and hopefully getting our home semi-final in the Premiership, which puts us in a great position, which is to go on and win the Premiership this season. I think, as you can tell, the sort of start this season, won 5 of our last games in Prem, that we're definitely more than capable of going and really achieving that. So I think that's a really, really achievable goal for us going into the rest of this season. And as long as us as a squad sort of believe that, I think that there's no reason why we can't do it.
No, absolutely, mate. Wish you well. I'd love to see Bristol go all the way. I love the makeup of your squad. I love the culture. I love what Pat's done in bringing everything together. So, mate, thanks for chatting to me. Wish you well this season. Whatever direction you want to go internationally as well, we'll be looking out for you.
Cheers, Jim. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.